The accusations against Diddy continue to surface, with American commentator and author Candace Owens recently sharing her own narratives about the hip-hop mogul. She suggests that Diddy has evaded criminal charges for years because of his alleged collaboration with the FBI. In a tweet, Owens highlighted how Kanye West was initially ridiculed for accusing Diddy, yet he might have been correct all along.
But as far as Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these niggas, all you fake hard niggas, f*** you. Hold on. Okay. All you fake hard niggas, f*** you. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a f*** because you can't shoot nobody anyway, and the reason why you got talk is because you did a deal, you fed. You know what I'm saying? That's why you gotta come at me, because part of the deal for you to be a do all that and get out of jail is that you promise that you gonna go pull my coat car. So y'all niggas shut the up about me. Now let me say it calm. You niggas shut the up about Michael.
Right.
Additionally, Owens discussed a past episode of Drink Champs featuring Diddy, which was mysteriously removed shortly after airing. Years later, Kanye West brought further attention to this by releasing text messages allegedly from Diddy.
Looks like Kanye West just leaked some of his text messages from Diddy. This is getting interesting.
Branding him an FBI informant, Candace Owens openly supports Kanye's claims.
They can't control me. You get what I'm saying? They can control Shaq. They can control Charles Barkley. They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
But not you, man.
But they can't control me. You see, it ain't no name I won't name.
Asserting that certain influential figures like Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, LeBron James, Jay-Z, and Beyonce are more controllable by the industry, unlike Kanye, who prides himself on being unmanageable. Kanye's outspoken nature has often led to his isolation within the entertainment sector, portrayed as a loose cannon by the media and industry insiders. Kanye has also pointed fingers at various celebrities for being accomplices in illegal activities, indicating a large network involved. He expressed his disillusionment with merely receiving acknowledgement instead of substantive support, emphasizing his repeated ostracism and the personal toll of public family disputes.
They ain't giving us money, they giving us acknowledgement. I don't want your acknowledgement. And I went so far past any level of acknowledgement. I was banished, I was exiled, I was canceled multiple times. So what, I done had like my kids not show up to Sunday service right in front of everybody. And you know what I mean? Like I'm crying to see my daughter, and all of the usual suspects, the handlers, Dave Chappelle, Meek Mills, Diddy, all these people aren't in position. And for us as celebrities, they got to call and put a leash on them. What we gonna do with Ye? He delusional, that's the best. Dave, give him a call. Diddy, give him a call. Tell him we ain't like the t-shirt. Tell him like right now the agenda is this is the voting agenda for the celebrities, for the black. Make them do exactly what LeBron would do. Make them do exactly what Drake would do. And y'all know my stance on this.
Moreover, Owens hinted at a deeper conspiracy potentially linked to Michael Jackson's death, which she finds profoundly unsettling, reflecting the gravity and breadth of the allegations discussed. I think today might be the final day I delve into this subject. Initially, I considered the notion that Michael Jackson was murdered to be purely conspiratorial. However, I've spoken to numerous industry insiders who firmly believe that there was foul play involved in his death. This seemed far-fetched at first. The idea that someone would intentionally harm Michael Jackson seemed unbelievable. Before we revisit the Michael Jackson case, let's recap what we discovered from the D documents. These documents are filled with allegations, and reading them might lead you to conclude that a blackmail ring is operating within Hollywood. Allegedly, this ring manipulates artists, especially those in the music industry, by drugging them at parties. Subsequently, these drugged artists are recorded, often while engaging in sexual acts with minors. It's also mentioned that many of these parties occur in the Virgin Islands, which is notable considering Jeffrey Epstein's connection to that location. He owned an island near St. Thomas. One of the most shocking revelations from the Diddy documents is the assertion that this ring, if it indeed exists, is capable of and willing to commit murder to protect itself. It includes an incident where Diddy and his son are alleged to have shot someone at a recording studio, a crime supposedly covered up by the LAPD and the media. According to the documents, a man named Mr. Muhammad, specifically Fim Muhammad, was the go-to person for such cleanups. The documents claim that if Diddy's staff ever encountered legal troubles in Miami or California, they were instructed to contact Mr. Muhammad immediately. He supposedly managed to convince the LAPD that a shooting incident, which occurred inside a studio, actually happened outside. This was made plausible by his connections in law enforcement. Interestingly, Fim Muhammad was also present when Michael Jackson died. Now, let me introduce Ian Carroll, an independent journalist who is actively investigating these connections. A recent lawsuit reveals that Sean Diddy Combs, also known as Puff Daddy, has been orchestrating a sexual blackmail operation similar to Jeffrey Epstein's, but within the rap and music industry for about 30 years. His head of security, Fahim Muhammad, who previously worked as Michael Jackson's security chief at the age of 21, was one of the first on the scene when Jackson passed away. As we discuss these intricate connections, it's crucial to acknowledge that industry executives were not only aware of Diddy's activities, but also participated in these exploitative parties, indicating their deep involvement in his personal and professional misdeeds.
The lawsuit that we have been covering and following, so much being revealed, you're not going to believe that somehow it is connected to Michael Jackson and his death. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of terrified. I think this is gonna be the last day that I cover it. I thought that we were in full conspiracy theory territory when people were saying that Michael Jackson was killed. I actually know a lot of people that are in the industry who believe that Michael Jackson was killed, and I just thought, it just sounds too whacked out to believe that somebody intentionally killed Michael Jackson. Now, I want to remind you, before we get back into Michael Jackson, what we learned in the Diddy document. If you read through them, again, these are all allegations, but you will come out of it understanding that there is allegedly some sort of a blackmail ring that is operating throughout Hollywood, and that artists that are producing music are actually being controlled via being induced into drugs at parties, and then what takes place is they're being recorded, and sometimes they're being recorded while they are committing sexual acts with minors. And something that we also saw in these docs is that these parties, at least a lot of them, are taking place in the Virgin Islands, which again just makes you go, what's happening here? Because Jeffrey Epstein, obviously his home, or he owned an island that was just off the coast of St. Thomas. So we hear that again. And I'd say the biggest point that we took away from these Diddy docs was that this ring, if you believe it exists, can and will murder people to protect themselves. And he intimated this event that happened allegedly at a recording studio where Diddy and his son allegedly shot someone, and it was covered up by the LAPD and then the media. Within those docs, and this is where it gets relevant, there is one man that is named as being the person that can do the cleanup. So in these docs, it says, Mr. Combs instructs his staff to always contact Mr. Muhammad, that is Fahim Muhammad, if they are ever pulled over by the police in Miami or California. Diddy and his son shot someone, and after that shooting, the documents say explicitly that Mr. Muhammad spoke with the LAPD after G was shot at the recording studio. The LAPD was in the recording studio and witnessed the blood in the restroom, and they went with the bogus claim that the shooting of G occurred outside of the studio. This was all thanks to Mr. Muhammad's connections within law enforcement, allegedly. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The cleanup guy, Mr. Fahim Muhammad, was also on the scene when Michael Jackson died. So I want to introduce you to and allow you to listen to Ian Carroll. He's an independent journalist that is investigating everything that is going on, and he explains that connection.
So this new lawsuit just came out that shows tons of evidence that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, has been running a sexual blackmail operation very much like Jeffrey Epstein, but in the rap and music industry for basically 30 years. And in that lawsuit, we learned that his head of security while he's running the sexual blackmail ring is this guy named Fahim Muhammad. who, before working for Diddy, was the head of security for Michael Jackson when he was only 21. And he was one of the first people on the scene when Michael Jackson died. And before we go to Michael Jackson, the most important part of the Diddy case to bring across is the fact that the record executives at the very top knew what P. Diddy was doing. They were attending the parties with underage girls where they were spiking drinks. They were deeply involved in Diddy's personal life. And all evidence points to them supporting his operation.
Candace Owens has expressed her suspicions about Michael Jackson's abrupt death. And with the current allegations against Diddy, these suspicions don't seem unfounded. Owens has also pointed out that the man alleged to have covered up the shooting by Diddy's son was the same person present at Michael Jackson's death scene. Additionally, it's worth noting that Jackson was labeled an anti-Semite, reportedly keeping a list of enemies within the industry, many of whom were Jewish. This list included figures like lawyer Gloria Allred, music executive Tommy Mottola, Rabbi Shmuley Botesh, illusionist Uri Geller, and his former manager Dieter Wiesner. Jackson believed these individuals were conspiring against him, reflecting his paranoia about industry figures trying to control his life. To understand the situation, it is crucial to delve into the complex relationship and activities involving Diddy. There have been discussions suggesting that Diddy was deeply intertwined with individuals such as Mech and Jacob, raising suspicions among authorities about his awareness of their activities.
To tell the masses that Michael Jackson was a raging anti-Semite. It is a fact, by the way, that Michael Jackson did keep a list of people in the industry that he said were his enemies, okay? On that list were people that all happened to be Jewish. So it was lawyer Gloria Allred, music exec Tommy Mottola, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, you may have heard of him, and I'm going to mention him later, Israeli illusionist Uri Geller, and also Michael Jackson's former manager, Dieter Wiesner. Now, to be clear, it was Dieter himself that revealed that Michael Jackson had this list, but he says that Michael Jackson was just paranoid, that Michael Jackson thought that these industry people were all colluding to try to ruin his life and to take over his life. And again, that was just Michael Jackson.
This context broadens with revelations of numerous individuals being arrested for money laundering, amidst which Diddy was documented as a confidential informant, CI, for an FBI agent. Historical accounts suggest that Kim Kirk Burrells was involved in delivering paperwork to the FBI in New York, the contents of which were initially unknown, but later revealed Diddy's role as a CI.
Together. So in the authorities' mind, they feel like Puff knew what Meech was doing. Then with the introduction to Jacob and different people, and a lot of people going to jail for money laundering and stuff like that, Puff being, and this is documented, Puff being a CI for an FBI agent. I said this years ago, that Kim and Kirk Burrells took some paperwork, they was taking some papers up to the FBI, so like when they was here in New York. They was taking paperwork up there and stuff like that. Don't know what it was, but later on found out that he was a CI. You understand? Now, what happens? He don't have that. The guy probably, that was 20, 30 years, 20 some years ago. The guy probably retired. Puff ain't dealing with him. No, he didn't pass Puff on or something like that. So now, Puff been dodging the legal system. With the people had it wrong. They think it was with the Black Mafia family. No, it was with Butt Naked. I said this years ago. The person that he said is a senior advisor, Corey Jacobs. Corey had 9 16-to-life sentences for drug trafficking. You make him your senior advisor, even though that was your man, he coming home. That's your man, pots and pans. But Wolf was the one who took care of them when they was away. You know what I'm saying? Wolf was the one who took care of them. So now, you got all these, these characters, around you. What they gonna think when they come to your house?
This association dates back over 2 decades, and it's possible that the involved FBI agent has since retired, leaving Diddy without that connection and thereby navigating the legal landscape independently. Contrary to some beliefs linking him to the Black Mafia family, his actual connections were different, as highlighted years ago by the fact that his senior advisor, Corey Jacobs, previously served 6 life sentences for drug trafficking. This decision to appoint Jacobs, despite his criminal past, is significant given the deep ties and loyalty within their circle, with figures like Wolf managing affairs during absences. Amidst this backdrop, there's speculation about the nature of Diddy's gatherings, drawing unsettling parallels with Jeffrey Epstein, particularly in terms of alleged child trafficking and the strategic recording of influential individuals for leverage.
Diddy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy things that's going on with this story, Diddy, right? I mean, a lot of people are calling him the Epstein of the music, the Hollywood world.
Every room in Diddy's mansions were wired with cameras. And he had some of the footage, he had some of the pictures, and he displayed those in the lawsuit that came out. And this was used for blackmail material. They'd bring in these people. A lot of these people were also aspiring young artists in the music industry. And then these parties were sponsored by Motown Records CEO, Universal Records CEO. This goes all the way to the top. And so you get these people in compromising situations. The drinks were laced, the videotapes were hot. And then at the end of the day, you wake up the next morning, oh, what did I do? And then they have compromising material on you. And then they can guide your career. They could kill your career, but they got you. And it wasn't just people in the music business. As you said, there were athletes, there were celebrities, there were politicians, people from the royal family. And we were also told by the former bodyguard that Diddy was an FBI informant. So he was a snitch and was feeding information to the feds. And we don't know what that means.
According to accusations, Diddy's residences were equipped with cameras to gather compromising material, a tactic allegedly used to manipulate careers within the entertainment industry. Such gatherings, often involving prominent figures from various fields, were purportedly facilitated under the guise of music industry events, with some sponsored by major record labels. The implications of these activities are extensive, with Diddy described as having used his position to collect incriminating evidence, ostensibly in exchange for shielding his own misdemeanors. This strategy has been likened to Epstein's operations, leading to Diddy being labeled as the Epstein of the music and Hollywood world by some observers. Moreover, his role as an FBI informant, as mentioned by former associates and even hinted at by figures like Suge Knight, suggests a complex web of relationships and information exchange, which might influence both his legal predicaments and his standing within the industry. Despite these serious allegations, there's an expressed sentiment that Diddy may not face the typical consequences due to his long-standing role as an informant, a role that could afford him certain protections. This situation brings to light the broader issues of justice and accountability, especially concerning high-profile individuals. The discussion also touches on personal experiences, noting a clear distinction in social circles and a deliberate avoidance of the controversial gatherings, emphasizing support for the victims rather than a downfall for Diddy. This complex narrative continues to unfold, reflecting broader societal questions about power, influence, and the rule of law. They were not part of it, or they were there, and I never want to be that type of person. Find that hard to believe? Well, guess what? Right after the raids, TMZ tweeted a photo showing Diddy interacting with the feds, while his drug mule, Brennan Paul, was the one taken into custody. Now, if the FBI did get their hands on Diddy, why wouldn't they just arrest him? Unless, of course, he was secretly involved in the whole thing. Kendrick Lamar and Drake have been trading jabs all weekend, setting the internet ablaze. There have been claims of pedophilia, domestic violence, and hidden children. Is God on one side, and the other side doesn't matter at all? Period. All these big deviants are catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It doesn't matter if you're Diddy, TD Jakes, or anyone else. All lies will be exposed, that's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way knows why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light. And this isn't just limited to Diddy. Remember when Cat Williams said that 2024 would be the year when everyone's crimes would be exposed? Well, after Diddy, it looks like Drake is next in line to be exposed for his inappropriate behavior with minors. Not to mention the entire situation with Diddy's hotel surveillance footage being leaked, proving that every single word Cassie alleged in her now-said lawsuit was true. But guess what? Diddy might not even get arrested for it. If you've seen that horrific video surveillance footage of Diddy punching, kicking, throwing things at Cassie, and attacking her repeatedly, and you are asking yourself after watching that hotel surveillance footage from 2016 why it had not come out until now, according to Cassie, the victim in that footage, in the lawsuit that she filed last year against Diddy, she claims that Diddy paid the hotel to suppress that footage, gave them $50,000, and problem solved. He was in possession of that footage. What I believe happened is in the recent raid of Diddy's multiple properties, the government came into possession of that, and the government, someone there, leaked it because Team Diddy had, until now, paid $50,000 for it. Everyone at that hotel in Los Angeles responsible for this should be held criminally responsible because if they saw an act of violence, a crime being committed, they had an obligation to report that, and they didn't. Shame on them. According to blogger Perez Hilton, Diddy paid the hotel $50K not to release the footage of him abusing Cassie that's now surfaced. And if he's got that kind of cash to keep a video from seeing the light of day, just imagine what else he might be hiding too. What are your thoughts on this? Share your views in the comments section.